This is Geeks Represent, where we talk about representation and issues that matter to us geeks. We are
Joe,
Marshall,
Sean,
and your hosts, Daryl. In honor of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, we want to talk about the multiverse as portrayed in our favorite fandoms. Don't worry, most of us aren't quantum physicists, and the only science we'll be bringing into this conversation is science fiction. So geeks, grab your portal guns and let's jump into the multiverse. So geeks, for someone who has no idea what we're talking about, what is the multiverse?
all right, Sean, you're the physicist. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll start.
So go ahead.
I think, using my super brain, it's the concept that there's an infinite number of universes existing simultaneously with ours, often based on a single adjustments that lead to potentially massive differences. Oh,
nice.
Kawaii.
That sums it up pretty well.
Yeah,
It does.
yeah. There's like different. I remember like what Justice League went into it, saying like, oh, it's like we all exist in the same space, just at different frequencies or something like that.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was the DC go-to for their multiverse.
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like they connect it. It's open to different connections. Like some people connect it via time, like in DBZ, or like in DC, they different frequencies or dimensions possibly as well.
And it's interesting because it could go into like, two worlds are like almost are so identical they might as well not have any difference. That's kind of pointing out like what Rick and Morty, right? And then others you have like, again in Rick and Morty, where in a universe hammers and pickles just walk around like as sentient beings.
Yep.
We're like completely different rules, completely different realities. So, which here's a head scratcher. I heard like if we live in a universe where that is part of a multiverse, then theoretically there must exist a universe where the multiverse doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Dun dun dun.
That can make sense.
That doesn't make sense, right? That hurts the brain, doesn't it?
I mean, that could make sense if it's like if you consider it like a locality. So like some areas, like our universe per se, it might have different like laws of physics because that's like its energy / region. So that's where like I feel like that possibility can exist where one doesn't exist and the other does at the same time.
See, I think I almost failed physics in like junior year of high school.
Oh, no.
So
Wow. Sophomore. What up?
Another mind blaster would be like if our universe was actually infinite in size, then we would run into ourselves if we went further enough. Just because there's only like a finite amount of ways to arrange atoms. So, and even in energy levels, so you would run into multiple copies. So not even a multiverse. It would just be the same universe and you would have multiple U's.
The fuck?
Interesting.
I'm too tired. I'm too sleepy for this shit.
You made the episode.
I did. I wrote it last week.
I love you so much.
I didn't know that we had like scientists among us.
You're welcome.
I thought we were all just a bunch of dummies talking shit about something we don't know anything about. I didn't know one of us.
Nah, dude.
Was reading like Stephen Hawking, man.
I mean, hey, we all aced AP Chem and AP Psychs. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Fuck that. I didn't take any of those AP classes. Fuck that shit.
You guys had AP classes?
Yeah.
I had AP History, which I failed, and AP Comp Sci, which I was actually not pretty good at. But that's it.
AP History was the worst.
AP Chem was like a struggle for like the entire class because the first time they were, well, no. Or maybe AP Physics was the first time they were doing it at our school. No, I think it was chemistry, but it was a struggle. I'll just say that.
AP Chem, everyone does poorly, like across all schools. Like no one passes.
That's what I heard. No, there was no way I was even qualified.
It was the first time I heard of a curve in my life.
that kid in the front. Thanks, kid.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so aside from blowing our minds with running into ourselves, like the multiverse is also just a way of can be like a playground for a lot of creative storytelling, or just trying to stir away from a established canon and looking into ways you can just say, hey, Superman didn't
in Russia.
Yeah, Superman landed in Russia instead of the United States.
Great story, by the way. Superman Red Sun. Very interesting. Where they go into like, oh, he's the man of steel. Because I didn't realize Stalin was Russian for steel. So he was literally like Stalin's right-hand man. Which made it very interesting.
Yeah, I did not know that myself. And I have it on a bookshelf behind me.
Is it my book? Do I even have the book still?
You don't got no
I always forget. I got too many comic books. Like, I feel like I tend to gravitate towards like multiverse, like Elseworld stories, because that way I don't necessarily have to catch up on what's the mainstream canon, right? Because usually they are their own isolated stories. Like, but like Daryl was saying, it is fun seeing like, what if Batman had gotten a Green Lantern ring, right? Like in Batman and Darkest Night, and it's like terrible. It's a good story, but it's like terrible consequences. like Batman is extremely. It shows that Batman is extremely vulnerable to corruption, and you know what's very few things are more powerful than a Green Lantern ring, right? So that was interesting. Or just having fun with it. Good to have like crazy stories like Marvel Zombies or like Marvel 1602. With like, you know, what if the Marvel universe took place in like Renaissance time, or you know, Deadpool kills the Marvel universe. That's great. Like that just like now again, you don't have to care about the main storyline. Like, oh no, he killed Luke Cage and Wolverine and Iron Man. He was like, cool. You could just see the ways he like skins Beast and wears Beast skin as a fur coat.
Oh man. And that led to Deadpool Illustrated, at least the original run of it, where he goes into the multiverse and kills a lot of literary characters.
Yes,
and
with the idea like they inspired a lot of like, aspects of the Marvel universe, like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. He killed them because that inspired Hulk. So yeah, stuff like that.
And the trilogy ended with Deadpool kills Deadpool, where he kills all the alternate versions of Deadpool across the multiverse. So
didn't it start with him like microwaving Headpool?
I believe it.
Yeah.
That sounds like the one.
It is just like the one. The one. The one was so crappy.
It was so great.
What?
11-year-old me loved it.
With Jason Statham, it was like that was like before Jason Statham got big too, right?
Yeah,
it was.
That was pretty, like one of his earlier roles.
Can ever get over like him at the end, like when he finally sent him to like the prison universe, the Hades universe or something, and he's like, "I don't care about you. I don't care about you. You must only care about me." And then it starts playing Papa Roach.
And he just beats up a bunch of biker dudes.
Right.
Walking up. I'm like, this sounds like
a pyramid
for him. This is
like, is this prison? This is what he wants. He's still one of the most powerful beings on the planet, in the multiverse, right?
Yeah.
Because what they say, like, if you kill every version of yourself, then you'll like have you can absorb their energy. Yeah. So it's interesting concept. It was just maybe it would have been better if it was done like now with like better special effects.
Yeah.
And better writers.
Yeah. It was during a time where that was that was the kind of movie quality we got for action movies.
He like killed a cop with like by picking up two motorcycles and using like boxing gloves. He's not the Hulk.
Hey man, he's the one.
He's the one. Yeah.
So before we jump into talking about any other great examples of multiverse stories,
or just examples.
I mean, great has a couple different definitions. so, so are there any other ways that you see the multiverse being a popular like sci-fi concept?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of similar to like kind of what we touched base about in our time travel episode, where people kind of like want to see like a redo, where it's like, oh, what if it just like gives artists and viewers like so much variety and variability in terms of the storyline, and you get to pit people against each other, like Joe said earlier with like Deadpool, and it gives us like, all right, who would win in a versus, like for real, and then. Yeah, it gets to be part of it. Like, we could use this as evidence. Like, this person won. See? Yeah, it just makes it fun like that.
Yeah. I also think it's a great way to just, even just pay respects to, like, what came before. I think a great example of that is, like, Spider-Man No Way Home, right? Spoiler alert. Like, just acknowledging, not, basically saying, like, they didn't just drop the Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies. Like, they actually acknowledged and respected like what came before and what led up to like, you know, the current MCU. So
you can't forget Into the Spider-Verse too. Let's be real. Come on now.
Yeah.
That's true. Great acknowledge Spider-Ham. Right? The spider that got bitten by a radioactive pig.
Spider Noir.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Spider-Man. I just want to burn my fingers just to feel anything.
Wait, what?
I only wish it would have been better if instead of like the Japanese Spider Woman that they had Spider-Man from the Japanese.
The 1960s.
Yo, his voice was amazing.
With like what was it called? With the Leopardmon mecha.
Yeah. Leopardon. Get it straight.
Leopardon.
Sequel.
What?
Yeah, there's a sequel, dude.
I know there's gonna be a sequel. I didn't think he'd be in it. He straight up shows up with a gun and he was like,
I cannot wait.
Cannot wait for that. Can't wait for Oscar Isaac to play another Marvel hero to play Spider-Man 2099
Oscar Isaac for the fucking win.
Right.
True.
But yeah.
Hashtag Moon Knight. Hashtag go watch it.
So yeah, let's get to the meat of it. What other like great stories that are out there that deal with the multiverse?
I mean, does anyone remember Sliders?
What is Sliders?
I remember it being on. But I never really watched it.
It was on like the same night. It was on like the same night as like Star Trek Next Generation. It's like that. It's pretty old series, and I've probably forgotten a lot of it. But it occasionally shows up on the Sci-Fi channel during the summer, like during like summer vacation. I just like watch TV. But yeah, basically a guy creates a device. It probably doesn't even make sense. I think he was trying to create like an anti-gravity machine or something like that. But somehow that it leads to being able to creating a device that creates wormholes between universes. But basically this group kind of just goes through the multiverse trying to get to their own. And again, it goes through like, you know, like worlds that are pretty much the same level of technology, whatever, as like our own. And then it goes to like, you know, we're like, freaking like post-apocalypse or whatever, or like humans are still in like Renaissance times. Like it just plays around with the multiverse. So I think that was like the first time I ever like understood the concept of the multiverse.
Mine was Family Guy.
Family Guy?
Yeah, Family Guy. The multiverse.
I don't remember that.
Do they have a Road to the Multiverse?
Yeah.
Episode?
I don't remember that, man.
Yeah,
I gotta say,
a genetically altered pig, and he took Brian through the multiverse and showed him a hot Meg.
Is this recent? A what?
No, that's a long time ago. Dude.
That just seems wrong. I think I stopped watching Family Guy a long time ago. I never watched it in order.
I think that was the tail end of me watching Family Guy. That was I have a vague
It got
recollection.
better. It's even an Xbox game.
Road to the Multiverse.
Back to the Multiverse.
Back to okay.
Yeah, they make fun of Disney too. They're like, "What are we? This is a universe that's completely owned by Disney." Oh God, what? He's like, Jew.
Oh, wait, Sean, what was it? Speaking of earlier, we were talking about the one. What did he say?
He said, "I am you, Law. I am nobody's bitch. You are mine." Greatest line to end it. I definitely
in any movie
it earlier. I always thought he said, "I'm you, Law. You're all my bitches."
Oh man,
Lord. Well, DC and Marvel both like got a lot of stories, a lot of Elseworld, a lot of like just a lot of like what if, and a lot of them linked to like the mainstream universe, you know, like Marvel House of M, like what if like mutants were the dominant species on the planet and humans were like the minority, or created by Wanda, who's going to be in Multiverse of Madness, which I'm also wondering, like, you think like Loki, I know What If is supposed to play in it. Marvel's What If is supposed to play into like the Multiverse of Madness. Do you think Loki's going to play into it as well? Because that should have the ending of Loki, definitely. Yeah,
I hope so.
Or probably tease Kang the Conqueror, right, for upcoming like Ant-Man Quantumania. So
yeah, I like this coming from like a comics perspective, like from my comics background, from my old comics podcast. Really on the rooftops. So
shameless plug. You can still find it at runningonrooftops.com.
You can, for possibly maybe up until end of this year. Long story. But anyway, so like Marvel and DC is in the more recent times handled like their multiverse stories a lot differently. And so like Marvel, they would basically, if they have a what if story, they would just say, oh, this is universe 9832 where Aunt May got bit by the spider, and now she goes around as a Spider Man, and actual story.
Is that really her name?
Yes.
She's old. Leave her alone.
This is old oatcakes. Instead of
before the MCU made her hot.
Yes. Before she was progressively aged down in like every adaptation. All right. But like DC kind of had a structure, like a hard structure to their multiverse stories, like pretty much after Crisis on Infinite Earths, which was their big event. Is with the 50th anniversary, where they kind of like, oh, they have so many Earths, they're gonna have the anti-monitor eat them all up, poop out one universe,
one Earth Prime or New Earth, right?
Yeah. And eventually, after another crisis, it got split into 52 Earths, 52 universes occupying the same like area in space, kind of, or in dimensions. And so after that, there's have some other events. There's a book called Multiversity, written by Grant Morrison, that provided like an actual map and structure of the multiverse, like all of the different continuities and different like realms and dimensions, and like they all tied together, and it was very structured. It's very ordered. You get to know like, oh, there's only one dark side in the multiverse. So if he ever shows up in the story, that's that one person, and those like for all the new gods, things like that.
Wait. There's only one dark side?
Yes.
That doesn't make.
Is
he aware of?
Is the only dark side in the multiverse.
What? No. But how does that make like? like Orion and shit, or like every Calabac, all these different stories. A dark side. You're trying to tell me that it's the same dark side over and over. He's a turtle.
Yep.
Well, shit. That answers the question. Dark side versus Theranos. It's dark side, man.
It is by far dark side.
Wait, can we exclude Smallville dark side? Because that was crap.
They have explanation for that.
Do they? Wait, he shows up as a cloud. they actually explain that because he showed up as a fucking cloud, man. I was expecting to be like someone looking like Christopher Judge from like Stargate, like a big ass dude gonna like tear through. Nah, he showed up as a cloud.
Oh, that would have been perfect. Yeah. But no, there's explanation for that. I don't go into that much detail.
Okay,
but basically, there's only 50 universes. If there is an alternate tale, you have to fit it in those universes.
Huh.
And after that, they're like, oh, hey, they introduced the dark multiverse, which is basically all of the potential worlds and ideas that didn't work, all of the bad ends to all the different events that happened are like happening there.
Interesting.
So they have that whole structure, and they have potential to work in different stories, dark bad endings, some not as bad endings, and they have that freedom to do what they want with it.
Interesting. You say freedom, but it sounds structured, which I almost feel like sounds limiting, but I'd have to actually see how it's organized.
It's like, even though they had like a guide to the multiverse at that time, they had a lot of universes that weren't like mapped out, essentially. Like, they weren't like, oh, this isn't just a cowboy universe, or this isn't just the universe where the genders of everyone is swapped. So, but yeah, and then after that, they had a whole thing of the person who made the multiverse, and it was just a thing. They made the DC multiverse as a way to attack the other people making multiverses. So now they're multiverses on multiverses.
Oh, Jesus.
They're using them as weapons and whatnot.
Oh, snap.
Jesus.
And now they have something called the Omniverse, where pretty much everything works and everything happens all at once. And everything's canon now. So,
oh, wow.
I've kind of lost track after that point. This was like 2020, 2021. So,
dang.
Do they acknowledge like the cinematic universes, or like, kind of like what CW did with like Crisis on Infinite Earths, right? Where they actually did go into like all like the different like DC like content, like Smallville and Birds of Prey, and Michael, like the Tim Burton Batman universe.
Yeah, that was a great event there.
Yeah,
but I'm not sure. So Multiversity came out in pretty much from 2014 to 2015.
Ooh, so right on the cusp.
So
maybe. I still remember, like, I didn't think I'd be excited to see the random ass detective dude or reporter dude from the first like Michael Keaton Batman being like, "We need you, big guy," and then fucking Kevin Conroy shows up as Batman from Kingdom Come, but he's an asshole.
No, they did a good job. Like,
yeah,
CW did a great job given what they did and what they had. And for TV
within
budget,
the confines,
yeah,
like it was great. This is what I meant, like acknowledging like people that came before, because for all the faults of Superman Returns, Brandon Routh was not one of them. So it was great seeing him as Superman again as Kingdom Come Superman, and Tom Welling. But that was just funny. Like Lex trying to share like due to kryptonite, and Tom Welling's like Clark just picks it up. He just tosses it. It's like yoink.
Yeah, it was very good.
Yeah,
I was never expecting him to be in a costume at all.
Yeah,
but no, it was for a guy who I've watched for 10 years, starting when I was like in second grade, going into college. It was a good way to send him off.
Yeah. Him and Erica Durance.
And so I'll try and include a map of the multiverse with the show notes. So
yeah, please, because I'm already like woefully confused already.
Sounds like a lot for sure.
Yeah,
I'm all kinds of confused. Did you at one point say that they were throwing multiverses around?
Like, did people die? Did just universes die?
Like, is this Gurren Lagann where they just throwing galaxies and shit?
or like Men in Black, where you like make the universes or galaxies marbles and just roll them around.
Like, it got to be a bit much, I'll just say. Like I read the whole run, and then it basically started with an event comic and then ended with a big event comic, and like I'm not really sure how everything was going because the other comics were still running at the time. So that was Dark Knight's Death Metal, sequels to Dark Knight's.
Ooh, yes,
was introduced to Dark Multiverse. So.
Oh, is that where it comes from? So that's where all like the evil Batman come from?
Yes.
Including the Batman who laughs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's fucking vampire Robins. I'm just imagining Damien as a vampire. Little asshole.
I mean, they're more Jokerized than...
Yeah, than vampirized, but his origin's still like vampiric in nature, right? But he's clearly, the motif is more based on Joker.
Yeah, it's a Batman kills a Joker, but the Joker has a really potent evil form of Joker gas in his heart that gets expelled whenever he dies.
Of course he did. Of course he did.
Yeah.
Wonder he should have used that in Dark Knight Returns.
And he's actually the big bag of the big bad of Dark Knight's death metal, where it becomes the darkest night.
The darkest night?
Yeah,
okay.
It's dumb.
I'm trying to find more, man. Like there's another Batman story that's not considered canon. So it's considered, I wonder if this is considered part of like the dark multiverse thing, because it's called like Batman White Knight. It's supposed to be a trilogy of that, but it's also supposed to include Batman Beyond. Like elements of Batman Beyond into
Batman who?
Batman Beyond?
No.
Terry
McGinnis?
You said Batman White Knight.
Oh, Batman White Knight. Yeah. Yes, it's called Batman White Knight. I don't know why yet. I've been looking for it. Apparently it's very good. So basically, a very good trilogy.
I can give a quick summary of the idea of it if you want.
Like, does he fight
like Joker's cured? Well, because Joker's cured, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
he's the White Knight, I think, right?
Mm-hmm. So he gets acquitted. He runs for mayor. He uncovers some dark secrets in the Wayne family. There are Nazis involved.
Nice.
So
always fun.
He's very anti gentrification, I believe. So
he's actually has a platform.
Yeah. Helping to disenfranchise that the funds that were supposed to help rebuild the communities where supervillains and Batman kind of like run through the city. The money never got there because it was being embezzled. So he's kind of
interesting. Sounds very detective-y. And very
turns it on its head pretty well.
Okay. Nice. I mean, do they comment on like Batman and his liberal use of police brutality?
Yeah, that's like issue 1. So.
Oh, nice. Perfect. Because I don't know how old I was. Like before, you're always like, "Yeah, Batman kicks ass," and then after a certain age, you're like, "Is what he's doing right? Like these are poor people, and he's beating up." Yeah. All right, well, I've got to look for that for sure. That should be canon. That should be part of the mainstream universe. Why make it?
So yeah, I can't remember if that was made one of the multiverses or the universes. They might just not count it, I guess.
Yeah. No, there's always that reasoning. Just like it don't count.
Yeah.
Like whatever they're gonna do with Ezra Miller's Flash universe.
If that comes out, who knows?
I'm voting for Grant Gustin. I vote for Grant Gustin to replace another multiverse.
If I hear anything about Grant Gustin, he should just stay away, because him and this Flashpoint paradox. Every other episode on the CW, step, I went too fast. I gotta fix this. Like, bruh. Like,
I fell behind, but I haven't caught.
It's
I
the
haven't
same
caught up to the
plot all
Flash.
around.
I haven't
He
caught up
messes
to
up
the
something and
Flash.
it's still fixed. That's literally the multiverse in the DC universes. The Flash just keeps running around and like
Wrecking
messing up
it.
everything.
Yeah, that pissed me off too. It was like, Barry, stop fucking with the timeline.
It's like, sit your ass at home and get close to your semi-attractive wife and just leave us alone.
Hey, Candace Patton is gorgeous.
I know, but he would never know that because he's always running around.
This is true. This is true.
It's like, my bad. Where were you? I messed with the timeline. I wanted to get a cake for my mom, stuff like that. God damn it. I made you a cake. Yeah, but she made it better. So, man.
So we can blame the multiverse on Flash. Just
Yep, that's pretty much the multiverse in Marvel. DC, it's the Flash. Flash dropped a piece of gum.
Shit. If it wasn't for Flash, you would never have Thomas Wayne as Batman, who I actually love as a character.
He was an amazing Batman. He just beat the shit out of everybody, and I love it.
Right? It's
Pop. He's like,
what toss who, like Yo-Yo, I think, or Harley Quinn, toss somebody off a building, and Cyborg's like, good bluff, and he was like, who's bluffing?
Take this to my son. Okay. Run, Barry.
Ooh, that's also another cool story. It was like Justice League Gods and Monsters, where it was that was interesting because it plays with three characters, like Kirk Langstrom, better known as Man-Bat. What if he was Batman? And what if Zod was the one who landed on Earth? And instead of landing in Kansas, he actually landed and was adopted by Mexican immigrants. And so while he still has that Superman sense of justice, he's a lot more anti-authoritarian. And more speaks for like the disenfranchised of America and stuff like that. Stories like that. Fascinating how they go into shit. Again, like, what if these were the different circumstances,
Yeah. Exploring different perspectives and just potential stories. It's great.
So what perspectives does Dragon Ball offer?
Trunks going back to go whine about some shit. Goku, you're gonna die. From what? A disease. Oh shit. Still dying. What?
That is
Android
true.
Saga? Yeah.
He did go back in time to try and save his life. And the arc, he is dead. So it's like, what?
He's like, wait, what? And like, shouldn't you have gone and trained more instead of, I can fight you, Android 18. Android 18 clapped both you and your daddy and sent your ass back home.
Oh, man. I never tracked that.
Yeah. The only one who was able to stop the androids was Krillin, because he's like, hey, how you doing, 18? Are you 18? Yeah. I did that. Make her a human. Make her a human. I'll conquer her.
Is this Trunks or Harvey Weinstein here, man?
I don't know, but he got his ass clapped. He's like, yeah, I'm Super Trunks. Super Trunks still got clapped by a 5'4" female with a bob cut. And her twin brother.
All right, I have a question. What is Android? You know what? That's a different question for a different day, because I actually don't understand Android 18 at all. Just that there's a lot of fan service out here, or a lot of fan art.
After the episode,
so the memes about her are just amazing. Android designed to destroy the human race in 24 hours gets stopped by a 5'1" human with dots on his forehead and a ring. What's up, girl?
Yo, that's a nice microphone, man.
Yeah, $29 on Amazon. What up? Hashtag support us. Hashtag Amazon.
Back up a little bit, because you're starting to crack a little bit, but otherwise it sounds clear.
Those are my knees, Joe. Fuck you.
Oh shit! I thought that was cracks in the microphone. You were clapping your knees.
I just moved.
Clapping
I wanted
your
to get closer to the mic, and my knees cracked.
That's a knee slapper right there.
It's a knee cracker, apparently.
We are aging.
Hey, your knees are cracking. Is it raining? Can you tell me it was raining under?
No, there's pollen though.
It's gonna rain tomorrow.
There's pollen out here like a mother.
Right.
Oh man.
I'm just surprised you didn't catch up on Dragon Ball though, because that's like 30 years, man. Shit, 40 years.
Yeah.
I mean,
like to add like a multiverse on top of it.
I mean, they did Dragon Ball Super.
That was like a more recent thing. Because like when they brought the series back, essentially at the end of that movie, they're like, "Oh, hey, your universe is only one of what 12, right?
12 or 13?
Yeah, 12.
I don't know. 12. 12, yeah, because all of the paired universes add up to 13 for reasons.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
and Goku clapped all of them.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's just another way of like expanding the story, like they did when they're like, "Oh hey, there's aliens," and then, "Oh hey, go train with these otherworldly deities over and over again." The Kaio, and then Grand Kai, and then Supreme Kai, and then
Don't forget the Omni King, the most powerful being in all the multiverse.
Yeah. So I think they may have hit a ceiling at this point.
Yeah. They're like,
they finally hit a ceiling.
It's like he's the glass ceiling. It's him. You can't get past that. No.
I thought Dragon Ball's thing was that there were no ceilings, no power ceilings, no glass ceilings. No, just
it's
keep
the
going.
Grand Priest and then the Omni King. Those are the ceilings.
Okay. For now.
Goku's almost there to the Grand Priest level, but that's about as high as he should go.
For now, until the plot demands he needs an upgrade.
Oh, who else is going to be like the Super Supreme King?
I'm a hater. I'm sorry. I don't try with Dragon Ball.
I'll send you a Destructo disc.
Goodness.
I have watched it. It made no sense because there's too much history.
It's funny.
I made Marshall mad.
Because not only do they have a multiverse, they have like a multiverse different timelines. Because like, didn't they for like Trunks Saga also bring back the Omni King from that timeline?
Yeah.
So now there are two Omni Kings. So it's like.
Right.
Yep.
It's like, wait, what? Like this guy doesn't.
They stole that.
Time.
They stole that from Avengers Endgame. There's two Thanoses.
Well, I mean, one came first. So
This is true.
No.
Did Endgame rip off Dragon Ball? Damn.
Not even close.
No, that was kind of nuts. So like that arc where all that happened, the future Super Trunks Goku Black arc, they actually had to publish the timeline like in Japanese because people were confused on the official website. It's like,
I'm sure.
Because like 5 timelines spawned out of like that couple dozen episode story arc.
Yeah.
But I did want to shout out really crazy fan comic that has been going on for like I think 7-8 years now. Called is it simply Dragon Ball Multiverse, and it's been going on since before like Battle of Gods or anything like that happened.
Oh dang!
And yeah, it's basically, and it's an excuse for all characters to come together and battle. But
Nice.
But it's like, hey, here is basically the Kais are like, hey, there's a universe and some people invented dimensional travel, so let's bring a bunch of people from 18 different universes over to do a massive tournament and fight. And so the timelines vary from just like, hey, what if Goku and Vegeta never defuse? Or what if Goku never hit his head when he was a baby?
Mm.
And then there's things that are like, oh, what if Vegeta won in the Saiyan Saga, or Frieza won in the Frieza Saga, or things like that? What if Boo and Cell won their respective books or arcs? So it's a story that I kind of like check in every once in a while, like every year or two. But it's still going on strong. They're at the semifinals now. Okay. And they've been taking breaks to like explore the different multiverses, like how the characters got to that point. So it's if you want some good pre-Battle of Gods Dragon Ball Z action, it's pretty good.
Nice.
So, any other multiverse stories you guys want to talk about?
Yeah, Rick and Morty.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
We haven't talked about that one yet.
Big one.
Nice.
I have to put a warning before that one.
Very but I like how like you guys were saying like most of the multiverses or whatever, they kind of like have stories that kind of lead up to like each other or like makes things canon. Rick and Morty like totally throws that out the window where like it doesn't matter who's who, and like most of the time we don't even know if the Rick and Morty that we're following in the show is the original one that we followed, or even if the Rick that we followed is alive, because they like go through so many switches all the time and often die and resurrect, and like they all have like identical personalities when they go to different places, so it's like really hard to keep track of. So like
the one where they like spread that virus on their planet, so they killed the entire planet, so they're like, oh, okay, we're just gonna go to this one where Rick and Morty just died. And like those are not the Summer or Jerry that we know, but it doesn't matter because we're just gonna start following them anyway.
Yeah, because they're like their personality is the same, and all the Ricks and Mortys are like aware of each other that they exist. So like, it's cool to see that they don't have like a crisis about it. They kind of just coexist with that fact. Because that would be like mind blowing.
I feel like with that, it almost takes like a nihilist. It's a very nihilist viewpoint of the multiverse, right? Like no matter what you're doing, it doesn't matter because there's another universe that either you're doing the exact same thing or doing something else, but it doesn't matter. And very similar to what was it, Crisis on Two Earths with the DC universe, where Owlman adopts that same philosophy. He's like, hey, you know, life doesn't matter because whatever choice you make, there's going to be another Earth where you made a different choice. And so he says the only choice that matters is just blow it all up. just kill the universe. So, yeah, like Rick and Morty, I don't know. Is that a fair assessment? Like kind of like nihilistic, like, you know, like nothing, like, absolutely nothing matters. If there's a God here, there's not a God in this one, you know?
Yeah. Like I mean, that's what Rick is always saying all the time. Like nothing matters. Like in this world, like you're dumb. We're all alone and whatever. Like they'll have stories and shows, episodes like covering like that kind of like feel where like Rick feels like he's alone, with that, whatchamacallit, that shy pooper episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's like the only one that he is in the world. Even though there's infinite amounts of him, he's still alone in this universe. Which kind of also reminds me of Loki and how like all the variants, no matter what they do, like nothing really matters because they kind of all get like either purged or purged or just live their own life. So it's like they have to kind of find reasoning or purpose to make their meaningless lives matter.
He's a infinite loser. Who has a home. Anyway.
Well, like with Loki, I mean, he had the privilege of seeing like, you know, how his life would have ended up. It would have been one, reconciled with his brother, and his father, but at the same time losing his whole family and himself. So like, let's say like life is pointless. Or not life, but his whole mission is pointless. So, was there supposed to be a season 2 of Loki? I don't see how they're going.
I think they said it's going to continue. Yeah,
somehow.
Oof.
But yeah, I feel like stories like that, like with Rick and Morty and Loki bringing things up like that, it kind of puts into context, like if a multiverse was real like that, like what would be the point of anything?
Yeah. What is my purpose?
Yeah.
To pass the butter. Oh my god.
Oh man.
Oh man.
Lord.
That poor machine.
Right. Those poor Meeseeks.
Existence.
Existence is cruel to the Meeseeks. Existence is pain.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's like their only purpose is to make your wish come true. Isn't that kind of fucked up? And it's like, don't look into it. They don't care. They're fine with it. Believe me.
No free seeks.
Yeah.
So in the realm of like anime or manga, are there any multiverse stories you guys want to bring up, talk about?
I actually had trouble coming up with any anime that kind of had a multiverse or interactive with a multiverse.
There are two that come to mind. Steins Gate, because they do time travel, so usually time travel always has like some kind of multiverse attached to it. Especially with Steins Gate Zero, the sequel, it's basically another timeline. So yeah, it's a multiverse of like what happened when things didn't go the way that it was planned or whatnot. I eliminate as much spoilers as I can about the first series. But yeah, that one has a nice multiverse. I mean, that one has just awesome time travel in general, so it makes sense in that regard. The other one that comes to mind that they'll just put down, and I was like, oh yeah, that's true, is Ray Zero, which did get confirmed in the second season that it's like basically a multiverse type thing going on with his like resurrections. Also, spoiler alert, sorry everyone. But yeah, that one I feel like his reset is kind of like a video game. So that's where the story is like kind of cool in that regard, where it's like a video game type multiverse. Like, oh, you get to save a different like kind of playthrough thing that going on. Which brings up a question with to ask you guys is like, would you guys consider games also like a multiverse technically? Like, or movies that like kind of play off that like game type resurrection idea?
Oh, game.
Games,
Are you talking about
like video
games?
games?
What?
Like video games.
Oh, I
Like,
thought you were talking about. For some reason, I thought you were talking about Gantz.
Oh no, I was saying dance with the TZ.
Okay.
But no, like a video game type of resurrection scenario where it's like, all right, this person died, and then like the next one is another multiverse kind of thing. Like, what was it, Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise?
Never saw it. I heard it was okay though.
Yeah, it was
was interesting.
It was a solid. What would
Action.
they all say? It solid. Okay.
Okay.
Powerfully
okay.
Yeah.
But
I
like
enjoyed
that's
it.
the plot. Like every time he dies, he like resurrects.
Yeah, it was
Something.
basically ran like a video game. So he would like still come back with the knowledge of what happened, but he would just run it through, and everyone would still interact the same way and be like, "What?" So I guess that's kind of like blending time travel /
A little bit. Because there was another
It
movie.
might be more for time.
Because there was another movie that was similar, but a lot smaller in scale. It was Jake Gyllenhaal, Source Code. Where they did the same thing, right? Like to figure out like a terrorist attack, they basically insert him into like the memory of like the memory of like a passenger on that train, and every time he fails to like find it, he just restarts, or whatever, to try to figure out like who bombed it.
Yeah.
Got weird at the end because it implied like he was actually time traveling. I was like, what? That makes no fucking sense. The technology they were given.
Yeah, I feel like that's where multiverse stories kind of get messy, is when they involve the time travel, if they don't do it right. Because like all the other ones that we've kind of mentioned are just like separate universes existing at this like coincide together.
Well, time travel is an extremely like convenient way of like forking a timeline, right? Like forking a world.
Yeah,
you know, like the MCU did.
Yeah,
you know. Now, I did come up with an anime, but it's not a great example of the multiverse because I felt like it didn't add anything to the story. It was just meant to be a mind blower that led nowhere. Was the ending of the first Full Metal Alchemist series. Right? Like the one they had because they couldn't fucking wait for the canon ending to come out. Like a lot of anime producers do. But yeah, like try to blow your mind. Like, oh, he went through the gate. Where is he? He's in our world during World War One. Wow. And it's like, but it added nothing to the damn story. But that's I would consider that multiverse, right? I mean, honestly, even the two series, the first series and Brotherhood could be considered like two very closely knit universes that ended differently. So
yeah. Different timelines, you can say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I would definitely count the first one as a multiverse because they did actually do some travel in between.
A world where alchemy doesn't exist. But I'm just like, okay, now what?
It's gonna invent automail in the 1940s.
Oh God. Oh, there's that. I actually haven't even started it, but I was really curious about it. I think it might not be going on. It was a Man in a High Castle. That's a multiverse. Where the Nazis and the Japanese won World War II. But they actually do play with the multiverse, right? Like I think I remember like being told that they actually find a way to like a world where the Nazis and Japanese lost or something like that. That's definitely a multiverse story, even if it's like separate timeline, but then now the timeline's connected.
Yeah, I definitely count that.
I hear it's good. Also heard, what was the movie, Sean? That you want to bring up?
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's definitely multiverse because it's like
shenanigans.
Multiple.
A world where you have like noodle fingers.
Yeah, they get popped through like crazy to all kinds of different scenarios.
That's not. Yeah, I'm just glad it brought what's his name? Short. What's his name from Temple of Doom?
Oh, that guy.
Short Round. Yeah, like he took a break from acting after 20 years because he thought Asians would never make it in cinema.
Yeah.
Only to come back for a big movie.
Yeah.
After, I think he said he came back because he saw Crazy Rich Asians say, "Oh, hey, people do want to see Asians in America."
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it does look like a very interesting movie. I mean, it's Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah. And
not to mention Jamie Lee Curtis.
A24 as well.
That's true. A24 doesn't make. A24 has a great reputation lately.
Yeah. From all my friends who've seen it, they really loved it like a lot. So I can't wait to watch it as well. Would like the Star Wars books be considered like multiverse? Because they used to be canon, and now they're not canon.
I was just gonna say, are they not canon anymore?
So like everything before Marvel or
the purchase?
Yeah, I guess no. Disney got bought by
fucking
Star Wars
Disney.
got bought by Disney, except for Clone Wars and the Clone Wars movie and the main TV shows aren't canon anymore.
I know the books aren't definitely, but I thought like Rebels and like Clone Wars still was canon, right?
Yeah, they're canon.
Oh yeah,
that's what you're saying.
I mean, Rebels came out after that. Yeah, and so what they did was good. They gave him a clean slate to work from, and it gave us a Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So that was
cool.
But they've been just pulling things out from the books, from the original. They call it, I think it's Star Wars Legends now. That worked and that was good, and they're making them canon. So,
not gonna lie, I was not impressed with Star Wars Visions, like the anime, like anthology. They tried to do like the Animatrix.
Oh yeah,
or Batman Got the Night version of Star Wars. It got weird. It got like, I don't know. I think it strayed a little too far from the lore. For one thing, saying like lightsaber colors changed depending on your alignment, like whether you're dark side or the light side.
What do they have instead?
They made it that. So like, if you're a Sith, your lightsaber turns red no matter what kyber crystal you're using. And I was like, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
It kind
is
of
it
is
now?
Basically, they're forced the hatred and dark side
Since
into the
when?
crystal. And then it happened in the Darth Vader comic book. I
So the
think.
crystal
not a
doesn't
fan of
resonate
that.
your feelings.
Okay, I understand that the Force is essentially like space wizardry, but that's a little too wizard. That's too much space magic. I don't know.
You can't just change the core of your
Yeah.
world.
Right? Exactly.
I didn't know this was LA with crystals.
Yeah, right. It matches your mood. I'm feeling
Yeah,
hatred
mood
today.
crystal.
It's
I'm
what-
generally
that was-
always angry, so it's always red.
What's next? They're gonna do that to like what Green Lantern? We're like, oh, I'm feeling like lovey today. My
Mood
Green Lantern
ring.
ring's gonna turn pink. Whatever. I mean, that's the direction they want to go with Star Wars, but I don't know. I was gonna say I was excited because I saw remember Obi-Wan trailer and seeing the Inquisitor from Rebels. I was like, oh shit, it's the Inquisitor.
Yeah.
He dead. What's he doing here? So it's cool that they're taking they're actually keeping it considering it canon, like the cartoons, because often they don't do that. You know, a lot of properties try to ignore the cartoons, but Star Wars is actually acknowledging what happened with Rebels and with Clone Wars.
And I was reading the General Thrawn books back in 2020. And that was a major character people wanted back in the 90s, pre-prequels. And when that book series came out, they're like, oh, the sequel should just be this because it's that good. But yeah, Thrawn was a standout character from that series. And now he's canon again. And now he's back. And the books, basically, the second book was happens right before Star Wars Rebels, and the third book happens right after, I guess. I haven't seen Rebels, so I just looked at it on the wiki to see what happened.
Rebel.
But I guess the planet where it takes place is the main planet where the second movie
Lothar
takes place. So
yeah,
yes,
like I said, I like Rebels a lot.
Yeah, I was gonna
I'm
say.
not gonna lie.
okay.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I squealed a little bit just hearing Freddie Prinze Jr.'s voice at the end of the last Star Wars movie, during that montage of all the Jedi that came before, and I was like, yes, Kanan was a badass Jedi. So
yeah, I was gonna say they better acknowledge the cartoons because they're way better than the movies. They're so much.
That too.
Filled in so much between 3 and 4, and even 2 and 3. It was just they should just replace 3.
Yeah, you could tell there was so much that 1 and 2 were. How many are there now? 7, 8, 9. What there was so much that episode 7 and 8 set up for, and then just didn't pay off in 9, or oh, that just happened.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, Finn.
Yeah.
Where I feel they were going somewhere else with Finn and with Poe, for that matter, with everybody and Rose and
Do you see the it was a spec script or something like that, a possible script for episode 9?
It was leaked or something.
Yeah, it was it came out maybe a year or two after.
Was it better
9 or something like that? I had a lot of good ideas, and it kept some consistency with the previous movies. The one thing that stood out to me was Rey having a yellow double-bladed lightsaber.
Cool.
So
that would,
she could use the staff throughout the whole first movie.
Even that would be more consistent versus her just all of a sudden she's a sword wielder. So keep it like Ahsoka. She's always used two short lightsabers, and that's never changed no matter how much it stays consistent. Yeah. So Rey using a double bladed lightsaber like Darth Maul's would have made sense given her fighting style.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Controversial opinion, but I feel like because of how the recent ones went, I think I like the prequels more.
Wait,
I like the prequels 1 through 3 more than 7 through 9.
You little shit.
I
Like the lore is like really impressive and kind of interesting. Like even Jar Jar Binks, man.
Yeah.
Like I would take him
Hold on. I will only accept that if you acknowledge Jar Jar was the true Sith.
I mean, Jar Jar was pretty useful in the Clone Wars and a bunch of other things too.
Not in Phantom Menace though. Phantom Menace
Phantom Menace was bad, but it was still more interesting than all the final 3.
I guess so. I can't stand Hayden Christensen. I just can't. It's not just Star Wars, man. I saw him like Jumper and fucking Takers, and I'm like, you're just a bad actor, man. I'm sorry.
Well, he's back.
Is he? Oh no. I hope he learned something.
I'm sure he has.
Beyond sand. I hope he's not surrounded by sand.
He's got
His
more
course
practice,
gets
right?
everywhere.
He was in that one movie. What was it? Over the Wall with Matt Damon, whatever. Not Over the Wall. That movie where they were in China.
Oh, the wall,
It was
or the Great Wall,
It was
or
the Wall.
Like Pink Floyd's The Wall.
Yeah, he was in there with
Exactly.
Matt Damon, and I heard he did pretty decent in there. So hopefully he'll.
In
do better.
the Great Wall movie about Chinese people, but starring the white people.
Yeah. So hopefully he'll be better in Kenobi.
I hope so. I shouldn't be so hard on him, but I did not like. I feel like Darth Vader was so badass to me growing up. Just seeing him as Anakin in Phantom Menace and onward, I was like, this is who you were, man. Why do you little shit?
It runs in the family.
It does. It did. I will say though, I appreciated the core themes of the last 3 episodes. Kind of like the past, like try to leave. Don't let the past like stop you from embracing the future. You know.
You mean the same thing as the originals?
I guess so. Yeah, I suppose so.
Didn't really practice what they preach by literally bringing like every ship back at the end of the climax.
This is true.
Episode 9. And also bringing back all the different Jedi.
This is true.
Beforehand.
Yeah, I guess it was not consistent. I don't know. It always.
Yeah, there was an arc that was that this fell flat.
What are you gonna do? Oh,
I wish I was less critical of The Last Jedi.
Yeah,
it wasn't as bad as Episode 9. And if the second part of the trilogy is supposed to be the darker part of it, it makes sense.
Honestly, Star Trek handled the whole reboot a lot better than Star Wars did, and that played with the multiverse, didn't it? Yeah,
it
played
did
it well.
Yeah. Like just not even like a massive change. Well, I guess it's considered a massive change, like killing Kirk's parents or killing, but just like slight shift and made this like really cool story, a lot more consistent than the Star Wars sequels.
Yeah, and Kingdom Hearts is also playing with that.
Oh, with the different Disney universes,
with that plus with Kingdom Hearts 4, they're basically delving into the realm of like fictional universes, which is basically what we believe. If you see the Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer that came out a bit ago, I think that's where Sora's supposed to be. So
interesting. You know what? There's going to be a new movie that will coming out soon that plays with that too. Different like fictional characters like sharing the universe or whatever. Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. Am I the only one excited for that? Because it looks funny.
I didn't know it was coming out.
It's like morbid curiosity.
Playing with the idea that they're just actors. Kind of like going the route of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Yeah,
it feels like a
exactly
to that.
So, except it's Andy Samberg and John Mulaney as Chippendale.
None of the other Rescue Rangers, though. Maybe they're saving them.
I mean,
later on.
What's her name? That one girl. She's too busy dealing with her Russian cult. So, did you forget they existed?
Strong feeling. No, I was just reminded about them today.
Wait,
but
earlier today.
If
that's weird that you thought about him twice in one day.
I just feel like they're probably just the Russian equivalent of people that went to Area 51 back in 20.
Yeah, but
just for the memes.
Oh, I see. Russian gram. Yeah, but at least they that was something. I don't know. I felt like it was like the precursor to I don't know, weebs. Like furry weebs. Or bronies. There you go. Bronies.
Yeah.
Same difference.
Same difference. Well,
I mean just Russian-fied. But Russia always ruins everything. This ain't Aaron in Moscow.
Not these days, no. Also, hopefully dating the episode. So any final thoughts about the multiverse, life, the universe, multiverse, and everything?
Thanks, Hitchhiker's Guide. Did Hitchhikers ever play with the multiverse?
I didn't finish the series. I think I got to book 3 before stopping.
Alrighty. But
I think that they did time travel though.
But, nothing. Just, if there's an infinite multiverse, then there's probably infinite stories that you can pull from that are great. Like Gwenpool was from her origins linked to the multiverse, right? Like she was a fangirl or whatever. So there's Gwenpool. There's, again, like Kingdom Come and Return of the Dark Knight is some of the best stories about Batman and the Justice League that you can. I mean, Return of the Dark Knight is or Dark Knight Returns is the epitome of the best fight between Batman and Superman, where he literally jacks himself into the city grid in order to power his suit to fight Superman. So Marvel Zombies, just for zaniness, there's plenty to pull from. Ultimates, the only good thing I feel like Ultimates gave us was Miles Morales, the Ultimate Universe. I wasn't that impressed with the rest, the edginess of the X-Men and the Ultimates, Avengers or whatever.
I think Spider-Man in general kind of gave us a lot of good stuff. And that was mostly Brian Michael Bendis, if I recall correctly.
Not to say that Spider-Man the animated series didn't have his own multiverse, if you remember. Towards the end, they all team up, a Spider-Man who's essentially Iron Man and a Spider-Man who's essentially Dr. Octopus. Good stuff. Ben Reilly finally gave us Ben Reilly.
Yeah.
So
that's true. Yeah. And here's a question. So, given all of the media conglomerates and franchise conglomerates that have happened with Warner Brothers owning everything and then Disney owning everything else and things like that, how do you feel about stories like that where they say in Space Jam 2 where they just bring in a lot of the different characters from different universes for different reasons? How I guess also surprisingly the Lego Batman movie. I guess the Lego movie as well.
No, the Lego movies in general, I feel like it's fun. I feel like as long as you don't take it too seriously, it makes it very fun. I actually just saw the Lego movie too recently. And the way they played around the Justice League. Yeah. that was pure fun. That was pure zaniness. And same thing for Space Jam 2. I kind of I get that it's not a well-written movie. where nothing made sense. But you were walking into Space Jam 2. You weren't there to like make things make sense. You were there to see fucking like the Iron Giant and King Kong sitting in the audience watching LeBron.
Oh yeah, I guess Ready Player One also isn't that?
Yeah, game. Ready Player One. Yeah, it's the same vein. I feel like that's less multiverses, more fandoms. Like it's not really combining the multiverses. It's more combining like the different. Yeah, more combining the fandoms and the love of like different audiences into like one space.
Yeah, it's like Smash Bros.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, exactly. Have you ever read the book Ready Player One?
I have, yeah.
Kind of wish that there was like a lot more they kind of went into. For example, like I think the book even included like Ava's. Like,
yeah, he gets to a Gundam instead of, and also Ultraman plays a part.
Yeah, Ultraman plays a bigger part, but they couldn't get the licensing, so they just replaced him with Gundam. You know, an Iron Giant, or which was cool. Like that was something the movie did that was different. That was really cool. Mm-hmm. Or what was it? Oh, and like including like music as well, like Rush, or even like. But yeah, I feel like that's more again like fun for fans of different content like being brought together. But to that being said, I feel like multiverse stories still can fill that role, right? Like playing around with different versions of characters that you might have grown up with, you know? Like I think it was fun for the video games. It's not yeah, it was kind of multiversal, but one of the Spider-Man games, Shattered Dimensions.
Oh yeah.
Played around with that. And what was really cool about it was the different voice actors for the different Spider-Men were all different Spider-Man voice actors who did like the different series over the last few decades, including like Neil Patrick Harris, right? Who did like the MTV version. Like,
yeah. Spider-Man Noir was the original 60s Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
So
perfect. Right. And I think 2099 was the actor for the animated series from the 90s. So again, like it's different, but it does the same job of like uniting fans of different generations, right?
I guess if you're not trying to do like a toy box story like Lego, I guess if you have some like good nods or like respect for different characters when they come together, it's always nice.
Yeah,
because I just saw Lego Batman like last month for the first time, and I mean, I guess spoilers, because I was surprised by seeing Voldemort,
yeah,
and Sauron's eye just pop up and be like, "Oh, hey guys, I'm here. I can see you too."
Yeah, that was great.
It was a funny movie.
Yeah,
it was incredible.
That's actually something I would argue a multiverse story that kind of was disappointing and kind of sucked was Ultimate Spider-Man, the cartoon. And aside from the other things I actually really dislike about the cartoon, except for Deadpool, but Deadpool's great everywhere he goes. But
was that the Drake Bell?
Yeah, that was. Ugh. Even that's like, ugh, damn. But anyway, yeah, the Drake Bell. But they went into like I think they were playing with like the Spider-Verse, because I think that was when the Spider-Verse comics were starting to like become more relevant, and there was a lot that they could have done. And when they got to Miles Morales played by Childish Gambino, actually, which was awesome. But like the writing around him was good, and I think that's what they were focused on. But for example, he went into like a gender swapped universe, and I was actually thought that was a great opportunity for them to introduce Mayday, Spider-Man's daughter, and because she's a cool character. Actually, I feel like she's a very neglected like spider character in the Spider-Verse. So hopefully she is in that across the. It would make me happy if we saw her across the Spider-Verse, but instead it was just like a lazy like, hey, gender swapped like universe, right? Not anything different. Everyone's exactly the same characters, just gender swap. That's it. When they could have done it with like Mayday, or Same thing with like the Spider Knight or whatever. They were playing around with it, just like corny. I mean, the whole show's corny. So
You know who did show up in the Spider-Verse comic event? Japanese Spider-Man with Leopard on.
Yeah. Did he have his gun?
But they enhance Leopard on with like anti bad guy technology. I forget
That
the originators, I think, something like that.
Funnily enough, that was also someone who was neglected in the Ready Player One movie. Leopard. He was a big character. He was a big element in Ready Player One in the book. But damn.
Final thoughts?
I thought that was our final thought.
I guess so. I'm out of practice, and I've been doing Scrum so many times.
I mean, this is about the multiverse. It can go on forever, but I won't because I'm sleepy.
There's a universe where this is a 24-hour live stream, and
yeah.
But yeah, to everyone listening out there, do you have a favorite multiverse story? It could even be Lego Spider-Man. No, that's not a movie.
Lego Batman.
Well, it is
Lego
a different
Batman.
universe.
That's a separate universe. And another universe where they're not Legos, but Mega Blocks. There you go.
Yeah.
Duplex or whatever.
Duplex. Yeah. Duplo. I love you. Boom.
Oh, man.
Great movie. Great movies.
So yeah, if you listeners have a favorite multiverse stories, please leave us a comment, leave us a note on social media, and also thanks for tuning in to Geeks Represent. If you enjoyed the discussion, please subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and everywhere podcasts can be found. And if you want to continue the discussion, please visit geeksrepresent.com. Thanks for listening and share it with your